In December 1900, a supply ship arrived at the remote Flannan Isles, a rocky cluster in the North Atlantic, 20 miles west of the Outer Hebrides. The crew expected to find 3 lighthouse keepers preparing for winter. But when they climbed the 200 steps to the top, the lighthouse was silent. The door was locked. The lamp was extinguished. And the keepers, James Ducat, Thomas Marshall, and Donald McArthur, were gone. No signs of struggle, no bodies, no explanation. This is the story of one of the most haunting disappearances in maritime history. A mystery that has defied answers for over a century. The Flannan Isles Lighthouse stood on Eilean Mòr, a desolate island battered by Atlantic storms. It had only been operational for a year. The 3 men had taken their shifts with routine precision. Their last log entry, dated December 15th, read, "Storm ended, sea calm, God is over all." But when the relief ship Hesperus arrived on December 26th, everything was wrong. The table was set for a meal. A chair was overturned. The oilskins were missing. The kitchen was tidy, the beds made, the lamp unlit. It was as if they had stepped out for a moment and never returned, just vanished. The silence was unnerving. No birds, no voices, just the wind and the distant crash of waves. The search began immediately. Coast Guards scoured the island. They found no footprints leading away, no wreckage, no bodies. But they did find something strange. The iron railing near the west landing had been bent and twisted, as if struck by a massive wave. One of the keeper's watches had stopped at 9 a.m., the last moment anyone might have seen them alive. The lighthouse log ended mid-sentence. It was as if they had vanished into thin air. The supply crates were still on the rocks, some damaged by the sea. The rope ladder was missing. It suggested they had gone down during a lull in the storm and were caught off guard by a sudden surge. James Ducat was the head keeper, a quiet, disciplined man with 20 years of service. Thomas Marshall was his assistant, known for his dry humor and love of books. Donald McArthur, older and more experienced, had joined late due to illness. All 3 were seasoned keepers, not prone to recklessness. They knew the dangers of the sea. They wouldn't have gone down to the landing in a storm unless something forced them. The official inquiry concluded that a giant wave had swept them away. A freak swell rising from the Atlantic could have knocked them off the rocks as they secured supplies or checked the landing. The bent railing supported this. The missing oilskins suggested they had gone outside, and the storm had been fierce. But the theory had gaps. Why leave the meal uneaten? Why not close the door? Why no cries for help? The inquiry acknowledged that no single explanation covered all the facts, but the wave theory was the least implausible. It became the accepted answer, even if it didn't bring closure. Another theory suggests internal conflict. MacArthur was a former sea captain, older, and perhaps difficult to work with. Some speculated a heated argument turned violent. But there was no evidence of a fight, no blood, no signs of forced entry. And lighthouse keepers were carefully screened, not prone to violence. If one had fallen, the others would have signaled for help. Silence was not typical. Could they have abandoned the lighthouse? Unlikely. They were due relief in days. Desertion was rare, and all 3 had families waiting. MacArthur had only just arrived. Ducat was respected and responsible. Leaving without notice, especially in winter, would have been unthinkable, and no boat was missing. They couldn't have rowed to safety in those seas. The idea of them trying to swim or raft across 20 miles of freezing ocean in December is beyond improbable. The sea would have claimed them instantly. A more haunting idea is that they were lured away. Local legend speaks of Bean Sid, spirits of the sea, calling men to their doom. Some believe the men heard a cry, a voice on the wind, and went down to help, only to be taken. It's poetic, not scientific, but the island has long been associated with myth and mystery. In Gaelic folklore, the Flannan Isles were once a holy retreat, abandoned after a monk vanished. The land itself is said to be thin, a place where worlds touch. Modern researchers suggest a tsunami-like wave, possibly caused by an underwater landslide. The Atlantic floor near the Hebrides is unstable. A sudden displacement could generate a massive surge, not a storm wave, but a silent wall of water. It would explain the bent railing, the missing men, and the sudden silence. But no seismic data from 1900 supports it. Or was it hypothermia and confusion? One keeper may have gone down during the storm, been injured, and the others rushed to help, only to be overwhelmed by cold, darkness, and waves. Disoriented, they may have fallen into the sea one by one, their bodies swept away. The lighthouse door, left open, eventually closed in the wind. But why were the oilskins missing? Why no distress signal? The human mind under stress can make irrational choices. In freezing rain, with waves crashing, judgment fails. They may have believed they were saving a life and walked into the abyss. The lighthouse was remanned within days, but the new keepers reported strange sounds, footsteps, whispers, the feeling of being watched. Some refused to stay. One wrote, "I feel the three are still here." The isolation, the wind, the crashing waves, they played tricks on the mind. Or did they? Over the years, theories multiplied. A rogue wave, a feud gone wrong, a supernatural force. Even pirates or German agents were suspected. But no evidence ever emerged. The men were declared dead in absentia. Their families were left with grief and unanswered questions. Only the lighthouse remained, standing against the storm. In 1941, a similar disappearance occurred at the Smalls Lighthouse in Wales. A keeper died, and his partner went mad from isolation. It highlighted the psychological toll of lighthouse duty. The silence, the loneliness, the constant roar of the sea. Could one of the Flannan men have cracked, and the others tried to stop him? The Smalls case showed how fragile the mind could be in such conditions. But in 1900, mental health was poorly understood. No one considered it a factor in the Flannan case, but today it's a possibility. The most accepted theory today is the giant wave hypothesis. Oceanographers have studied the landing and confirmed that during extreme storms, waves can surge over 100 feet, striking with little warning. The keepers may have been checking the supply crates when a sudden swell swept them off the rocks. The door closed behind them. The storm erased all trace. This theory is supported by modern simulations and eyewitness accounts from nearby islands, where waves were seen rising like mountains. It's not perfect, but it's the most grounded in science. But the mystery endures. No bodies, no final words. Just a meal left uneaten, a chair knocked over, and a logbook that ends mid-sentence. The Flannan Isles remain a place of awe and dread. The lighthouse still operates, automated now, but visitors say the air feels heavy, as if the sea is still hiding its secrets. Some leave flowers at the landing. Others record audio, hoping to catch a whisper. The story has inspired poems, songs, and documentaries. It's not just a mystery, It's a legend. Next on Hidden Case Log, the Taos hum, a low-frequency sound heard by only a few people in New Mexico. Is it real, psychological, or something the government won't explain? Find out in the next episode. Subscribe to Hidden Case Log, where mysteries never stay buried.